Christmas, that magical time of year, can easily turn into a festival of stress, consumerism, and unmet expectations. While the lights twinkle and advertisements promise that happiness comes wrapped in boxes, have you ever stopped to consider what really matters? Are we so busy chasing perfection that we've forgotten to live in the moment? What if I told you that the true spirit of Christmas has nothing to do with expensive gifts, extravagant feasts, or picture-perfect Instagram posts? It might seem counterintuitive, but the solution for a more fulfilling Christmas lies in a set of ideas that are over 2,000 years old. Stoicism. Stoicism offers us a radical, but deeply liberating perspective on Christmas. Imagine a year-end celebration where wisdom replaces consumerism, where justice illuminates our relationships, and where courage helps us prioritize what truly matters. Wouldn't it be a relief to escape the shackles of unrealistic expectations and create a genuinely meaningful celebration? Throughout this content, I will show you how to apply Stoic virtues to transform Christmas into a moment of gratitude, balance, and contentment. If you are tired of hollow repetitions and want something more authentic, keep reading. The secret to an unforgettable Christmas may be right here in front of you. Wisdom, as taught by the Stoics, is not an unattainable ideal, but a practice that transforms the way we see and live in the world. It invites us to discern what truly holds value, to look at the essence of things, and to find contentment in simplicity. Picture Christmas, a moment when we are bombarded by advertisements promising joy wrapped in gift boxes. But is happiness really found in objects? A wise person recognizes that true joy lies in connection. A simple gift like a handwritten letter can touch the heart more deeply than the most expensive electronics. The secret is to imbue the gesture with soul, reflecting gratitude and authenticity. Another fundamental aspect of wisdom is the detachment from materialism. In Stoicism, material possessions are seen as tools, not ends in themselves. During Christmas, this might mean rejecting the notion that a gift's value is measured by its price. Have you thought about organizing a secret Santa of experiences? Instead of something purchased, offer a walk in the park, a special coffee, or an afternoon of conversation. This reinforces unity and shifts the focus away from consumerism. A wise person knows that true wealth is not in store windows but in shared moments. Moreover, wisdom teaches us to cultivate gratitude, especially during the holiday season. It invites us to look around and recognize what we already have: health, family, friendships, learning. How about starting a new Christmas tradition? During dinner, each person can share something they are grateful for from the past year. This simple act of reflection transforms the atmosphere and enriches the experience, bringing balance and a sense of contentment, something so essential in times of excess and haste. A simple dinner filled with meaning can be the highlight of a wise Christmas. Stoicism reminds us that while society rushes to set up extravagant tables, we can find joy in the essentials. Imagine a meal with fresh foods prepared with love, without the need for excess. This choice is not only practical but also promotes moderation and reflection. After all, the goal is not to impress, but to unite. In an increasingly fast-paced world, slowing down and valuing simplicity can be a revolutionary act. Reflecting on real values is also a practice of wisdom. Ask yourself, what do I really want to leave as a mark this Christmas? It's a question that goes beyond the obvious and touches on the essential. Perhaps the answer is as simple as spending quality time with loved ones or investing energy in something altruistic, like helping a local charity. Wisdom guides us to make decisions aligned with our principles, reinforcing courage and authenticity in our choices. At its core, this practice of wisdom prepares us for something greater, the understanding that Christmas is merely a symbol, a reminder of values that can and should be lived year-round. This exercise in discernment, detachment, and gratitude serves as a bridge to justice, which will be explored in the next step of this journey. After all, what is the point of reflecting alone when we can carry this wisdom into our relationships and society? Justice, in Stoicism, is not just an abstract idea. It is a practical virtue deeply rooted in a commitment to the common good. At Christmas, this principle manifests in how we interact with others. Imagine replacing the frenzy of gift-giving with gestures of conscious generosity. Instead of buying something without purpose, why not donate food to a needy family or spend time at a charity? True justice recognizes that by offering what we can, we promote a sense of equity and empathy that transcends the material. Equity in relationships is also a natural extension of justice. Often during Christmas, we prioritize only those who already have everything, while others remain forgotten. Think about how a simple gesture can include someone who is usually overlooked. Perhaps it's an invitation to dinner, a phone call, or a small handmade gift. These actions, no matter how small they may seem, carry immense symbolic weight. They show that you see the other person and that they matter. After all, justice is not just about giving, but about recognizing and valuing. A spirit of justice also implies promoting the greater good, even in small acts. During Christmas, there are countless opportunities for this. Supporting local businesses, choosing sustainable gifts, or simply reducing waste during the feast. Every conscious choice reflects courage and altruism. One interesting idea is to organize a community feast with neighbors, where everyone contributes and shares. This gesture not only strengthens bonds, but also redistributes responsibilities, creating a more balanced and inclusive celebration. The practice of generosity should go beyond the act of giving. It is essential to look at who truly needs it. Imagine offering a meaningful gift to someone who would never expect it. A teacher, a janitor, someone who is part of your daily life but often goes unnoticed. These gestures of gratitude resonate deeply and remind us that justice also means recognizing the invisible connections that sustain us. It is an act of courage to value what is not immediately obvious. Christmas is also a time to reflect on our role in society and how we can contribute to making it more just. How about using this season to teach children the value of solidarity? A practical idea would be to invite them to sort through toys or clothes they no longer use and donate them to those in need. This act not only creates an immediate impact, but also plants the seeds of generosity and equity for the future. Justice, after all, is something that should be taught and nurtured. Justice reminds us that by transforming Christmas into a time of altruism, we create an impact that goes far beyond the holiday. This sense of connection to the greater good paves the way for courage, the virtue that challenges conventions and helps us act authentically, even in the face of external pressures and expectations. And it is precisely about this courage that we will talk next. Courage in Stoicism is not the superficial bravery we show in moments of adrenaline, but rather the inner strength that guides us to do what is right, even when it is uncomfortable. During Christmas, this virtue can be a true act of resistance. Consider the rampant consumerism that envelops us during this time. It takes courage to reject the idea that the value of our celebration is tied to how much we spend. How about challenging this narrative and opting for something more meaningful, like creating handmade gifts or offering shared experiences? An intimate dinner, an afternoon with family, or even a simple outing can be just as precious as something that costs a fortune. Facing social pressures also requires courage. Christmas often brings with it expectations that can feel overwhelming. Expensive gifts, perfect family gatherings, a setting worthy of a TV commercial. But it is precisely here that courage shines. Imagine saying sincerely, "This year I prefer to focus on simplicity and what really matters." This gesture, which may seem small, is actually a demonstration of authenticity and balance. It serves as a reminder that the celebration should reflect our values, not what others expect from us. Reconciliation during Christmas is another example of courage in action. How often do we avoid difficult conversations or hold on to resentments that weigh us down? A courageous heart is one that takes the initiative, seeks dialogue, and strives for peace. Perhaps this is the moment to write a letter or make a call to that person with whom there has been a disagreement. These gestures not only strengthen bonds, but also bring relief and contentment, transforming Christmas into a real opportunity for emotional renewal. Resisting consumerism doesn't just mean buying less, but buying with more discernment. The courage here lies in prioritizing conscious choices, like supporting local producers, opting for sustainable gifts, or even reusing old decorations. Consider the resilience it takes to say no to aggressive marketing campaigns that try to convince us we need more and more. This simple act of moderation is a way to challenge the status quo and reaffirm the power of simplicity. Courage also invites us to live Christmas authentically, even if that means breaking away from traditions that no longer make sense. Perhaps your family is used to large parties, but you feel that you would be happier with something smaller and more intimate. Honoring that desire requires a certain degree of boldness, but it is a way to live in alignment with your own values. After all, Christmas is about authenticity and connection, not about following imposed rules. Courage prepares us to face what comes after the holidays, everyday life with its ups and downs. Just as a warrior prepares for future battles, the courageous spirit of Christmas inspires us to carry these values forward. And this strength naturally leads us to moderation, a virtue that balances our desires and helps us find peace amidst chaos. Let's dive into this balance next. Moderation for the Stoics is like the rudder of a ship at sea. It keeps us on the right course, preventing us from being swept away by the winds of excess. During Christmas, this virtue is a powerful ally for anyone looking to escape the chaos of impulsive shopping, extravagant feasts, and unattainable expectations. How about starting this practice with something simple? Plan a balanced feast, valuing quality over quantity. There's no need for 5 desserts or dishes you've never seen before. A modest menu, but well prepared, can be much more enjoyable and meaningful. Balancing pleasures isn't about deprivation, but about finding the sweet spot between enjoyment and excess. After all, what's the point of eating so much that you spend the next day feeling awful? Moderation reminds us to eat and drink mindfully, savoring every bite without haste. To help with this, try creating moments during the meal for reflective conversations or even a brief pause to express gratitude. This transforms the feast into an act of unity rather than a gastronomic marathon. Moderation, in this case, brings balance and makes everything feel lighter. Another aspect is limiting expectations. Have you ever noticed how stressful Christmas can be? The house needs to be perfect, the gifts have to please everyone, and the celebration must be memorable. But who says so? Moderation teaches us that not everything needs to be grand. How about simplifying? Decorations made from natural or recycled items not only relieve the budget but also add a unique and authentic touch to the environment. Plus, it reduces environmental impact, reinforcing minimalism and simplicity. The practice of minimalism at Christmas is an excellent exercise in moderation. This could mean gifting something symbolic like a framed photograph, a meaningful book, or even an altruistic gesture, like a donation in the name of a loved one. Have you ever thought about creating a tradition where everyone in the family exchanges letters instead of gifts? This practice strengthens bonds and highlights what really matters: human connection. The secret is to replace excess with meaning. Moderation is also about controlling our own impulses. Have you noticed how easy it is to get lost in the frenzy of year-end sales? Moderation invites us to reflect before each purchase. Do I really need this? Will this bring lasting joy, or is it just a passing whim? This type of questioning strengthens discernment and promotes balance, reminding us that less is often more. Being selective helps us cultivate gratitude for what we already have instead of constantly seeking what we lack. Moderation offers us something invaluable: serenity. By rejecting excess and embracing simplicity, we create space to enjoy what truly matters. This serenity paves the way for a more conscious and authentic celebration. But as we learn to moderate our desires and expectations, we begin to see something even greater: the overall impact that these choices have on our lives and society. And this is where the true spirit of Christmas resides, which will be revealed shortly. When we think about the impact of our actions, Christmas becomes more than just a holiday. It turns into an invitation for deep reflection on our values and choices. Stoicism challenges us to transform this celebration into something more aligned with simplicity, gratitude, and altruism. Imagine a Christmas where the focus is on being rather than having. How about transforming Christmas morning into a moment of connection, with each person sharing a special memory from the year? This practice of reflection creates a warm atmosphere where spirituality and unity take the place of material concerns. One of the greatest gifts we can give is our time. This may sound simple, but in today's fast-paced world, it is a rare luxury. Stoicism teaches us that acts of service, such as helping a friend in need or spending the day with an elderly family member, have a far greater impact than any expensive gift. This Christmas, we can put this into practice. How about dedicating a morning to volunteer at a local charity? Or at home, creating an environment where everyone feels they are an essential part of the celebration. This promotes generosity, empathy, and the much-needed sense of community. Valuing the present moment also redefines what we call abundance. It's not about a table overflowing with food or a tree laden with gifts, but about finding contentment in what we already have. Have you ever sat around a campfire or simply gathered the family to listen to old stories? These moments are filled with meaning and create lasting memories, proving that minimalism can be the true wealth of Christmas. Simplicity is a virtue that illuminates the Christmas spirit with balance and authenticity. Promoting the greater good doesn't just mean grand gestures, but also small acts of kindness. Imagine paying for a stranger's coffee, visiting someone who is alone, or even writing a note of gratitude to your coworkers. These actions, when combined, create a wave of altruism that transforms not just Christmas, but the entire year. A Christmas spirit inspired by Stoicism is one that finds joy in giving without expecting anything in return, in sharing without measuring efforts. Celebrating sufficiency is another profound lesson that Stoicism brings. During Christmas, we can abandon the idea that happiness lies in excess. Picture a dinner where conversation is more important than the main dish, where laughter is more valuable than table decorations. Contentment with what is simple and sufficient gives us the freedom to celebrate Christmas lightly, free from the pressures of perfectionism. This teaches us to be more resilient and authentic in all areas of life. By redefining the Christmas spirit, we realize that these changes are not just for the end of the year. They are lessons we carry into every day, every interaction, every choice. Stoicism shows us that a Christmas rich in values and meanings is just the beginning of an entire year, filled with wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation. Now, with these principles in mind, all that's left for us is to move forward and live what we have learned. After all, the Christmas spirit does not end in December. It is reflected in who we choose to be every day. Now that you've discovered how Stoicism can transform Christmas into something much more meaningful, the big question is, are you ready to take action? It's not enough to know. We must apply. How about starting right now? Reflect. What can you do differently this Christmas to embody more wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation? It could be a simple gesture, like spending more time with loved ones, or something bolder, like completely re-evaluating your Christmas traditions. Change doesn't have to be drastic, but it needs to begin. After all, transformation comes from small, conscious steps. And if this reflection has left you feeling uneasy, that's great. It means you're on the right track. Now imagine how incredible it would be to look back and see that this year's Christmas was the first step toward a life more aligned with your values. Are you willing to set aside fear and embrace simplicity, altruism, and contentment? Remember, the true Christmas spirit isn't found in things, but in moments, connections, and conscious choices. So why not make this Christmas the starting point for a new way of living? Now it's up to you. What will be the first gesture of change that you make? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Share your ideas and inspire others to walk the same path. And of course, if you enjoyed this content and want to keep learning about how to apply Stoicism and other transformative concepts in your life, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. This way, you won't miss any content and can continue on this journey toward a more balanced and authentic life. After all, what's better than growing together?